Let me tell you what art books I recommend to start your beginner art journey with. Stay tuned. Hi everybody, Daphne here, and welcome back to my channel. I'm the artist of the self-published furry fantasy comic Tall Tales and Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn. Before we get started, check out my artwork and galleries at the social media sites next to me on the side here. And don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. And as always, there's free comics featuring the first 3 issues of Tall Tales waiting for you at the description box below, so don't forget to sign up for them. In a previous video, I spoke about how every artist has a collection of books for the sole purpose of using them for inspiration and reference. So, in today's video, I want to show you the books I have in my collection that have helped me and still help me to this day to become a better artist. Because my artistic specialty is cartooning and comic books, some of my books are very specific to that. However, every art book has the potential to teach you something you didn't know you needed. All you need to figure out is which art books work best for you. However, since I am a little biased, I really do consider these books a must-have in every artist's library. So, I want to start off with my most recent acquisition, Drawing the Head and Hands by Andrew Loomis. One of the things about being an artist is being hyper-aware of your weaknesses and making it a point to do deliberate practice to improve on those places you need to work on. You can't get any more specific than drawing the head and hands. I spend a lot of time drawing furries, or funny animals as some old schoolers like to call them. So I don't practice a lot of drawing humans. Which is funny because humans are animals too, so you wouldn't think it'd be such a big deal, right? Well, the brain is a funny thing. Because we look at human faces all day, we know it when a drawing of a face isn't quite right, as opposed to the drawing of a cartoon animal. So that means that human faces have to be more accurate to be read as correct. So, back to this book. I have seen many artists refer to the Loomis method as how they draw human faces accurately, so I decided I needed to get this book. Sure, you can find videos online going step by step with the Loomis method, but I'm the type that needs a book to really study. What I like about this book is that Loomis talks about how to draw human heads of all types, from babies to old people, which is really important because if it's one thing that I keep seeing is that too many artists are drawing children like shrunken down adults with age-inappropriate features. And if anything, that looks really, really weird. That's why you really need to use reference when drawing. This next book is so worn and used, it doesn't even have its dust jacket. It's Dynamic Figure Drawing by Burne Hogarth. If you are really interested in drawing comic books or really impressive pinups, this is the book you absolutely need in your collection. This is one of the first books on this type of drawing style I ever received, and it's still influencing my artwork to this day. Want to draw powerful, heroic characters? This is the book you want to work from. And of course, you can't have the Hogarth book without what I think is the quintessential companion book, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way by Stan Lee and John Buscema. This is another book that every comic book artist needs to have in their collection. Okay, sure, it's a very company-specific book, but the lessons in here can be applied to any type of comic. The language of sequential art is pretty much the same no matter the subject, and I think every aspiring comic artist can benefit from this book. The next several books are a bit old-fashioned like the Loomis book, but their lessons are timeless. These books I think are the best for beginners because they are chock full of drawings and minimal yet clear instructional text. Drawing the Head and Figure by Jack Hamm offers all the details and everything you need to literally draw the head and figure. He also goes on how to draw different ages appropriately, which again I feel is incredibly important. A 10-year-old is not a shrunken down 25-year-old. It's bad enough TV and movies keep casting legit adults to play literal children and high schoolers. We don't need or have to do that in our drawings. Can you tell that's an artistic pet peeve of mine? How to Draw Animals by Jack Hamm is a simpler version of Animal Anatomy for artists and offers more variety and step-by-step instructions suitable for a beginner artist. But if you're looking for something with a more cartoony angle, then The Art of Animal Drawing will be more your speed. This is a great companion to the Jack Hamm book. Where you'll get basics from Jack Hamm, you'll learn how to turn those basics into believable cartoons with Hultgren. And now for some miscellaneous books that I have that you might find interesting. The Perspective Grid Sourcebook by Ernest Burne. This book I was a little hesitant to show because it is out of print, but you can still find it on eBay once in a while. Hate drawing perspective grids? Then this book has hundreds of them already made out for you to scan in and lay over. Animator's Survival Kit by Richard Williams. I got this book because I was interested in trying to make little animations on the computer, but I decided I just didn't have the time for that. But the lessons in this book can be used just as much in comic book work as well. I really enjoy static sequentials that look like they're already moving on the page, and that's a really nice skill to learn that adds so much to comic storytelling. Vanishing Point by Cheeseman-Meyer. This book is also out of print as the publisher went out of business. However, it can still be found on Amazon. It's a book on learning to draw perspective from the focus of comic book art, but perspective is one of those basics that once you master it, it's applicable to every type of art. They say to learn backgrounds with the same love you give your characters. Yes, it's hard, but there's something to be said about being able to put your characters in an actual environment instead of a blank background. There is only so many talking head panels you can put in a comic before the reader starts to side-eye you and really question your ability. This book might be really specific to me, but you might find it useful. What People Wore When by Melissa Leventon. It's a timeline of all the different clothing styles through the ages. I use this a lot in my work on Tall Tales, Eagle Raven, and the Oswald Chronicles, since they all use a mishmash of different time periods and the clothing that goes with them. I like that all the images come from actual historical art. This next book is a heavy-duty version of the previous book, Fashion by the Smithsonian. It does the same thing as What People Wore When, but it goes more into the history and context for certain clothing styles, and also supplies detailed diagrams actually naming what certain pieces of clothing were called. I really like the glossary at the end that even goes so far as to really define manufacturing terms, as well as materials and techniques used in knitting and sewing. And since a lot of my comics take place in fantasy settings, what's a fantasy setting without royal palaces? This book features tons of photographs from palaces from around the world, both interiors and exteriors. This book is from Barnes & Noble, so I don't know if it's still in print. These last books I really hesitated to put on this list because they're only available once a year through Kickstarter, but they are such unusual art books. If you can get your hands on them, I highly recommend it. How to Think When You Draw, Volumes 1 and 2 by the Etherington brothers. Volume 3, which I purchased in their last Kickstarter, is supposed to ship sometime in November. I don't know if I would classify these books as how-to, since they seem to expect you to know all the basics already. However, if you need reference on drawing really specific things, these books are gold. Need to draw squirrels specifically for some reason? There's an instruction sheet on that. Cars? There's an instruction sheet for that. Pirate ships? Yep. Need refreshers on layouts and composition? An entire chapter. Need tips on drawing little details like books and brickwork? There's that too. And the best part is that everything is drawn out with the most concise advice you will ever see in a book like this. It's literally cartoonists making cartooning books for other cartoonists. These books are incredibly specific and make for excellent reference material. So, those books pretty much make up my main collection, even though there's still a lot of books on my shelves that I also use, but I don't want to make this a 3-hour video. If you haven't noticed from my selection, most of these books pretty much came in pairs, a basic and a more advanced expansion, even if these books weren't from the same author. No one book is going to give you everything you need, so it's really good to get a nice selection that'll cover the skill sets that you need to learn. Just remember that no matter how many books you own, you will never learn a thing if you don't practice with them. And not just any practice, but regular, dedicated practice. Mindlessly scribbling in a sketchbook isn't really going to get you anywhere than really hunkering down and studying the lessons each of these books will give you. As the saying goes, it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill, but those hours don't mean anything if you don't make them count. Thank you so much for making it this far and watching to the end of the video. I hope you found it informative or at least entertaining. So, do you have any art books that are your favorites to work from? Tell me in the comments below. Maybe I'll pick them up for myself too. If you want to learn more about art and illustration, and especially about making comic books, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and sign up for your free Tall Tales comics before you go. Have a friend who might enjoy this video? Feel free to share it and get those algorithm juices going. So until then, I'll see you on the next video. Bye!